وقلبي كليم وعيني صارت كفي السقاء. أئن طويلا وما من دواء فقومي صاروا كما الببغاء. لساني سليم وقلبي كليم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. And welcome to another video on the Islamic Knowledge YouTube channel. Now, before we go any further, if I can kindly request you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that it serves as a motivation for me to continue making beneficial videos, inshallah, and for others to benefit from these videos as well, inshallah. Now, before I begin speaking about this book, I want to tell you a bit of the history behind this book. So, as we know, the great muhaddith al-Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah ta'ala wrote a book titled Tarikh Madinat al-Salam. It's famously known as Tarikh Baghdad, and it contains the biographies of many notable scholars of Islam as well as just general narrators of hadith as well. So in this book, in volume 15, by the way, so this is volume 15, if we go to page 444, he discusses the biography of Imam Abu Hanifah rahimahullah ta'ala, and the biography begins here. Now, he discusses the biography of Imam Abu Hanifah rahimahullah ta'ala for over 140 pages. So the biography actually ends at page 500 and you could say 86. So it's over 140 pages. However, the first 80 pages or so are spent on all statements and stories in praise of Imam Abu Hanifa, while the remaining 120 pages contain lots of disparaging comments about Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah attributed to notable scholars of Islam. So you could say the likes of Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah ta'ala, even Imam Malik, even Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala. So when he wrote this biography and when he wrote Tarikh Baghdad, a number of scholars refuted Khatib al-Baghdadi's narrations, and they gave answers to the narrations that are found inside this book with regards to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. Now, fast forward to about 900 years later, and a scholar by the name of Shaykh Muhammad Hamid al-Fiqi, he takes this biography of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah from Tarikh Baghdad and he gets it printed in India on its own without the rest of the book, i.e. the rest of the book has not yet been printed. He just prints the biography of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and he gets it printed in India. This is even before the entire Tarikh Baghdad had been printed. This of course caused a huge furor, and then years later the entire Tarikh Baghdad was printed in Egypt. And so an incredible scholar who at the time was residing in Egypt, Shaykh Muhammad Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote a book refuting al-Khatib's narrations that contained disparaging statements and comments towards Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. This book was titled Ta'nib al-Khatib ala ma saqahu fi tarjamati Abi Hanifa min al-Akadib. So it's a refutation upon al-Khatib al-Baghdadi. Now, this book was very important, especially in consideration of the recent past in which Shaykh Hamid al-Fiqi had printed the biography of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah separately. Of course, after the demise of Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah, another great scholar, Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Yahya al-Muallimi, released an incredible book titled At-Tankil bima fi ta'nib al-Kawthari min al-Abatil. Although he released this book after the demise of Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah ta'ala, he did release two parts of this book, or two, you could say, introductions to this book titled Tali'atu al-Tankil and Ta'ziz al-Tali'ah, both during the life of Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari, or at least one of them was during the life of Shaykh Zahid, which was Tali'atu al-Tankil. And Shaykh Zahid does kind of discuss this in this book, At-Tarhib bi Naqd al-Ta'nib, wherein he's welcoming the refutation that is going to be written on his refutation of al-Khatib. Now, we'll discuss At-Tankil inshallah in another video, but today I want to speak a little bit about Ta'nib al-Khatib and why, if you're a Hanafi scholar, you should read this book. Before delving into the book, by the way, I just want to clarify that in critiquing al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, al-Kawthari rahimahullah did make several harsh comments about many respected scholars. Now, I don't advocate these comments, and nor do I encourage Shaykh Zahid's comments. Those comments are quite literally between him and Allah Ta'ala, but essentially his argument was more or less this, that if you were to find dirt, so to speak, on Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, then this same dirt, or you could say negative comments, can be found regarding the same people who are critiquing Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. Whether you agree with his approach or not, my concern in this video is more about the beneficial points found in the book that relate to a Hanafi scholar. Now, this book, in essence, is what Kawthari would refer to in his own words, Raddu muta'assib ala muta'assib. It's a sort of tit-for-tat kind of response towards al-Khatib al-Baghdadi. But in any case, this video is more about the fawaid found within this book for a student of the Hanafi madhab. Now, it is a book that I have read twice, and I have got two separate set of notes for each time that I read it. I came across a new beneficial point every time that I read it. So here are my old notes that I made for the Al-Maktaba Al-Azhariyah print, and these are basically connected. These page numbers are all connected to that print, which is the Al-Maktaba Al-Azhariyah Lit-Turath print. And these are the new print. This is the new print and the beneficial points found within the new print. And every time you will notice there are some new fawaid that are not in the old notes. And therefore this book is worth reading more than once if you have already read it as well. And inshallah, I do hope to share both of these sets of notes on our Telegram channel, which you can find inshallah by simply going on Telegram and typing in the search engine at IK Courses, and then inshallah subscribing to that channel. Now, I want to discuss very briefly, some of the important points within this book that really help. So on page 15, for example, he touches on it a little bit, but he delves a little bit further later on. He discusses the birth date of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, and he indicates towards the fact that he was actually born a lot earlier before the time that people think. So he indicates towards it on page 15, and then between page 42 to 43, he dives and delves into this detail quite a bit, and he believes that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah was actually born in 70 Hijri, right? So again, I should also clarify one more point, which is that not all of al-Kawthari rahimahullah's statements should be taken and accepted at face value, but neither should they all be rejected, as he can sometimes add some detail to the discussion, and he really just shows you the level of kind of reading and his scope of reading when he kind of presents to you this book. So he says, وَقَدْ ذَكَرَ أَبُو الْقَاسِمِ السِّمْنَانِ عَصْرِيُّ الْخَطِيبِ فِي رَوْضَةِ الْقُضَاةِ قَوْلَيْنِ فِي مِيلَادِهِ أَحَدُهُمَا سَنَةُ 70 وَالْآخَرُ سَنَةُ 80. And he goes on, اختلاف شديد في مواليد رجال الصدر الأول. This is another kind of point that I'm saying where you've got a beneficial detail. He's kind of telling you that you will find a lot of difference of opinion because the tadween or the codification of tariq or the death dates happened a bit later, and therefore you will find more differences of opinion with regards to the death dates of Sahaba than you will find of the later scholars. And that's kind of an obvious point, but it's kind of good to see as well. Now, his view is quite controversial with regards to the birth date of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, but it still makes for a very interesting read and just shows the sheer scope of his reading. Just to show you some of the random fawaid you will find within this book, page 42, he discusses how Hafiz ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah ta'ala never actually travelled outside of, he never travelled to the east. وقول ابن عبد البر في الانتقاء وأما أبو حنيفة فلا اختلاف في مولده أنه ولد سنة 80 من الهجرة ومات ليلة النصف من شعبان يدل على أنه لم يطلع على تلك الروايات وعذره أنه لم يرحل إلى الشرق فحال ذلك دون التوسع في معرفة الروايات الشرقية. That's an interesting point if you're basically wondering why does Ibn Abdul Barr not narrate here, why does he not narrate from this narrator? Well, you can just remember this point, he didn't really travel to the east. On page 67, he speaks about Ibn al-Dakhil's biography on Imam Abu Hanifa. He says, Ibn al-Dakhil al-Misri huwa tilmidh al-Uqayli. Al-Uqayli has a book called Kitab al-Du'afa. He has obviously a number of disparaging comments regarding Abu Hanifa, but his student, interestingly, writes a book on the biography of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. وقد رد عليه تلميذه ابن الدخيل في كتابه الذي ألفه في مناقب أبي حنيفة وهذا الرد وإن كان لم يطبع إلا أنه دخل كله تقريبا في الانتقال ابن عبد البر. And Ibn Abdul Barr fully relied upon Ibn al-Dakhil's Manaqib book that he had written on Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. And al-Intiqa is a book that we have made a video upon before. On page 71, he mentions with regards to Ibn Abil Awam's book, and this is a book again that we have made a video upon. He says that وعليه خطوط كثير من كبار العلماء الأقدمين وسماعاتهم. وهو من مرويات السلف حيث قال. So we learn that basically this Ibn Abil Awam's book has been relied upon and has been read to many great scholars in the past as well. On page 76, for example, he states that al-Khatib used to actually follow Ibn Hazm's opinions in fiqh quite a bit. والخطيب كثيرا ما يتابع ابن حزم في آرائه التي أطلعه عليها الحميدي صاحب الجمع بين الصحيحين فلعل رأي ابن حزم هذا لم يطلع عليه الخطيب والله سبحانه هو الهادي. So we will remember that al-Humaydi, the author of al-Jam' بين الصحيحين and a student of Ibn Hazm, was also a student of al-Khatib as well. So when he met Khatib, Kawthari is stating, again, we need to check all this, we're not just fully following it, but it's interesting to see this idea that al-Khatib started following some of the opinions of Ibn Hazm and al-Humaydi informed him of these opinions. On page 92, he states that the Musnad of Abu Hanifa, written by Ibn al-Muqri, is من أحسن ما ألف في هذا الباب، من أحسن ما ألف من المساند، وهو مؤلف مسند أبي حنيفة المروي، وهو المروي في أثبات المشايخ، وهو من أحسن ما ألف في مسانيد النعمان. And this has actually been recently printed as well, Musnad Abi Hanifa of Ibn al-Muqri. On page 104, he affirms that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah entered Basra over 20 times to debate the Qadariyah. And you know, this is something that you will find in the Manaqib books, where you wonder that is it actually true, or to what degree is this accurate. He fully agrees with it. ومن المشهور بين أهل العلم أن أبا حنيفة ذهب إلى البصرة ما يزيد على 20 مرة لمناظرة القدرية وغيرهم من فرق الزيغ هناك. So this is quite interesting as well. And then another interesting point, again, to just skip a little bit and go to page 234. On page 234, we've got an incredible section. On page 234, he explains the ruling of the Masail of An-Nawadir. So he says, and this is quite good for a Hanafi, by the way, وَأَمَّا مَذْهَبُ حَنِيفَةَ فَلَا تَجِدُ فِي مَسَائِلِ ظَاهِرِ رِوَايَ إِلَّا قَوْلًا وَاحِدًا مِنْهُ فِي كُلِّ مَسْأَلَةٍ وَأَمَّا كُتُبُ النَّوَادِرِ فَحُكْمُ مَسَائِلِهَا فِي جَنْبِ مسائل ظاهر رواية كحكم القراءات الشاذة إزاء القراءات المتواترة فلا يعد ما فيها قولا له إلا إذا لم توجد رواية عنه في كتب ظاهر الرواية في تلك المسألة على أن قيمة روايات النوادر تقدر بأحوال رواتها. This is a very interesting point coming from someone who's well versed in the Hanafi madhab. And then later, for example, on page 298, he has a full section on all the principles of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah when it comes to hadith and when it comes to fiqh in general. He says وَمِنْ أُصُولِ أبي حنيفة ومن أصوله أيضا 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 ومن أصوله أيضا. And Shaykh Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda rahimahullah ta'ala actually presents some of these usul in the footnotes of Fiqh Ahl al-Iraq, which is another book that inshallah we'll make a video upon. So in any case, this is a really, really beneficial book. I don't want to comment again. I don't agree with the kind of disparaging comments within this book regarding other scholars. That's not the purpose of this video. It's more about why, as a Hanafi, you will benefit from this book. This is one of the books you have to read if you want to get more well versed in the Hanafi madhab. And in general, al-Kawthari rahimahullah's books are generally going to be very beneficial for you to understand the history of the madhab. You won't accept and automatically take everything at face value, but you will definitely pay some attention to it and kind of research it further. I hope you enjoyed this video, and inshallah if you did enjoy it, please share it with others so that they can also benefit. If you know someone who's interested in the Hanafi madhab, share this video with them, and inshallah I hope you join me in the next video. Until then, jazakumullahu khairah for watching this video. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.